think we are live. Let's play the music. Can I hear? Okay, I'm gonna send out the tweet. Hello and welcome to Movie Crap Live. Hold on, let me move this mic. Movie Crap Live. Hello. Where do we start? Austin, Cornbread, Nathaniel Fogan, Nattenbach64, Sinram, Jordan Salafalo, Dylan Butler. Hello. Ramsey the Artist, Super Dusky, Pup, and yes. Oh, Mutant Astronaut or Gary. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to movie. Oh, Javier Portello. We got a good crew tonight. Got a good thing going. I hope. Finally back. Let me just switch over. Let me just switch and hello. Welcome to Movie Crap Live. We are here after many delays, postponements, and sorry about last week. Moving that a little. Sorry. Last week was a little crazy. Got kind of, the last stream I got sick. When I went, was like the moment I was like, uh-oh, I don't feel so good. And like when it hits you, and then I got over that. And then I got sick again right after I had announced the last week's stream. So it was kind of a disaster in terms of getting sick and then re-sick and all those things. So it's been a bit hello Wandon. How's it going? It's been a bit crazy in terms of that, but I feel like we're doing good. I keep a cough for a little bit. It's just a thing my body does. But I took some cough syrup before, so I hope that works out. Hope that mixes with the energy drink here, which I have, which Cornbread did guess correctly. But if you want to know it, someone's got to do a super chat. I watched some movies. I watched Mission Impossible 5, which I guess is Rogue Nation. Here, let me move them. Hold on. I'm starting to realize I had to deal with a kid waking up, and I'm hoping that nobody wakes up again, because I do have to deal with that. So we might have some breaks in that case. But, before I get into that, Skibidi James' new overnight job has been good. That's good, Bloxy. Hello, Bloxy. How's it going? Hold on. In a first super chat of the... Where are we? With the Alani, I guess. I got it at the... a grocery store I go to, I guess, and it's the red slushy. I feel like I might have had this here before, but I'm not sure. I saw the Book of Bill in a Barnes & Noble this afternoon. Cheers to you, Bloxy. How's it going? I'm glad your job's doing well. Because I was, okay. Because I saw a big display of them. But I thought about doing nice Oscilla, I think. I'm not sure. Because I got I wanted to get the TV guide actually, because it had Bugs Bunny and Me TV Tunes on it, and I could not find a TV guide anywhere. Hey, what's up, Will? I like, in all seriousness, I went to play so many different places and nobody had it. And I know TV Guide not as popular as it was when I was a kid or anything, but I thought, like, this is just nuts. I just cannot find this thing. And I was around where Barnes & Noble was, and I was like, okay, I can find it here. And I have one. I actually might do a short on just the TV Guide, because it's so different. It's like a bigger issue. It's like, they used to be like little, like Archie comics. I don't know what that's called, but little book size. And now it's like just a full magazine. But And Sophie liked going through it because I think she likes Simone Biles, and they had a thing on the Olympics, which I don't watch, but somebody's gonna watch it. Anyway, it is true. Linear TV is dead. They do some streaming stuff, but it's more about linear TV. But I wanted to get it because of the Bugs Bunny, because there's a Bugs Bunny marathon this Saturday, so check that out, as well as the documentary on Bugs. So I need to check the schedule on that, but we're at least going to watch an hour of just the cartoons. I don't know if I'll watch the documentary. I haven't decided. Anyway, yes, I saw Mission Impossible 5, Rogue Nation, very solid, by the way. And I watched, I think it's a book with Cornbread. I think you're right. And then I finally watched Lisa Frankenstein, and that was really good. I don't know if I'll get to shoot a review of it, partly because I don't know when it would go out. Part of me wants to, but that was cool. I think we all slept on that too much. I didn't get to see it till just now, but I really enjoyed it. It's also one of the few horror movies written by a woman and directed by a woman, which I can't think of another that had both, which is directed by Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, and written by Diablo Cody. And I thought she did a very good job on that script. I enjoyed it. It's just like a fun cult movie. You like Heathers, and I can't think of anything, but if you like Heathers, then I would suggest seeing it. If there's something else I was comparing it to. Anyway, it is like more of a female-focused horror movie, but I think it was really cool. I was kind of disappointed after I watched it. I was like, man, we should all supported this more. It was cool. Lots of good 80s music. Takes place in the late 80s. I forget if it says what year or whatever, but it was cool. It was cool. I want more Zelda Williams. I believe Diablo Cody did write Jennifer's Body. I have not seen Jennifer's Body. Jennifer's Body, there is a bunch of stuff to talk about, but Jennifer's Body is interesting because my recollection of the reception of Jennifer's Body was that people felt like horror people were not mean to Diablo Cody. What I read was more like, oh, well, she's not really like, writing horror is different than writing coming of age stuff, and you can tell it's not, and people were like, she'll get him next time sort of thing. And then every time I see a thing, it was like, it was destroyed. And I'm like, where are these reviews? Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to act like anyone's performative, because there's a lot more reviews that probably I didn't read, but it was interesting years later hearing about that. And I don't want to act like it wasn't there, because I'm sure there were people, but anyway. Also, yes, Catherine Newton. I did notice Catherine Newton and Mia Goth and a lot of these women who are becoming like these horror, they're like, that's their whole thing now, is like these horror actresses. When Mika Monroe, who's in Longlegs, which I haven't seen yet, talked about how it's so different than when she did It Follows, I found that interesting. So many people were like, no, there were horror for female actresses. I'm like, not like the way Mia Goth and Catherine Newton are presently. So I think that's a little, I think she had an actually good point, because after she did It Follows, she got to do Independence Day 2, which was a disaster. So anyway, I should move the chair over. Anyway, I do see your super chat, Will, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for being here. So I will talk about the Emmy nominations, but Will says, and this deserves its own thing, congrats to Scavenger's Reign getting an Emmy nomination. Absolutely deserved. Great show that everyone should check out. Also, yes, Lisa Frankenstein was cool. Saw in theaters earlier this year. Okay, cool. I figured you would. Cheers to you all. Scavenger's Reign is great. I'm so happy for that show, but we'll get into that, all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, I will always complain about The Simpsons. But yeah, I need to watch. Oh, Melted Valder. I do need to watch. That's cool that you and your girlfriend. I need to see. I'll watch those. I need to see the other. But thank you for being here, Will. And you're right. Scavenger's Reign deserves a shout out. Cheers to you. You know what I like about Scavenger's Reign? It's the sci-fi of imagery, and not necessarily, it's like imagery and ideas and imagination, and I think most of it is ideas with rules, and I find it more interesting because I don't know if I view the world as orderly necessarily. Anyway, not to get too weird about it or anything. And I'm trying to think. There's something else I was going to say. Oh, I've been watching Aeon Flux. It's sort of my new show because I've been trying to go to bed earlier and stuff. So I watch a show, and I've been watching Aeon Flux. I don't know if I'll do a review because there's only 10 episodes. Although it's weird because the full episode thing is actually considered season 3 because of all the shorts, which I was like, I don't know. I've definitely watched the show in the 90s, but it is really good so far. Kind of Scavenger's Reign vibes, I guess. I don't know. Not that they're very different, obviously made different times, but man, the first episode I really liked. The other ones, I'm watching in bed, so I fell asleep. So, anyway, but it's cool. I like it. It's on Paramount Plus. So I would like to finish that. I don't know if I'm going to do something with that, or even see that fucking movie, which I don't really want to, but looks like shit. All right. I'm trying to. Okay. I should go over. I made videos and stuff. Despicable Me 4 was last night. I think I'm just like not posting on Sunday anymore, just because I get so burned out. Just between life and I don't get creator burnout. I get like life burnout. That's not to say. Jordan Slothful. I also thought Aeon Flux because when I was like, "Is this right?" and I was like, "That's why I looked up how many episodes," and then I was like, "Wait, what? What's season 3? What's going on?" And then I figured it out. Anyway, I don't unless I have a video completely done. But I'd say that's the only day I'd say definitely not. But anyway, I posted this week at least. Last week I just posted the segments just because I wanted to get something out, and I'm trying to get the tier list thing done on top of everything else, which is I'm sort of failing, but we'll see. But I did the Eddie Murphy compilation one. The Eddie Murphy one has a minute of it, just plays part 1, 2, 3, and then all the new stuff. All the new stuff is about a minute, so it's longer than any of the it's pretty long. It has a bunch of stuff. I probably could have done a part 4. I didn't, but part 4 is sort of at the end of that. Then Despicable Me 4, and now we're here, right? Anyway, also throwbacks. I had Muppets Take Manhattan, which a couple people have told me they just watch Muppets Take Manhattan, which I want to rewatch, to be honest with you, and it's encouraging me. Maybe I'll watch it with the kids. Obvious Child and Boyhood, both of which were from 2014. If you want to talk about how movies have changed, both those movies were big talked about indie movies of the summer, and I don't think we even have that many now, and they're all controlled by like 3 studios. But like in all seriousness, it is shit has shrunk. It wasn't Obvious Child, which is a rom-com sort of about abortion, which is very crazy to think of where we were 10 years ago and where we are now with that. But yeah, one of the things I do think about a lot actually is how movies have changed when I started doing this, where like something like the Theater Film Forum would play these weird art movies and people would want me to talk about them. And now it's like, I think people wouldn't be as into it, not to shit on an audience or something. It just feels like the interest level for me even isn't there as much, but I also have less free time, but it does feel like the what was at Film Forum would be much talked about, but there's less avenues for that than mainstream stuff. So I get a little nostalgic for that time. I will be doing some stuff for Deadpool, like I want to do a Ryan Reynolds and a Hugh Jackman was almost cast in. That stuff will probably be out on the same day at separate times. I would kind of like it to be like part 1 comes out on part 2, and then they'll both compilations come out. I don't think sometimes compilations will have a premiere if I'm around. If I can't, then they won't. And that's about it, I think. Right? Also, Boyhood's a good movie. I know everyone's like, it's gimmicky, but fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good movie. Like, I've watched it every couple of years, and every time I'm like, it's a good movie. Like, why is everybody... I don't know. People are weird about Linklater. I think sometimes they want him to have more, and I feel like they're overcompensating. Well, they feel like they're overcompensating his more simplistic style, but there's a lot of like genius in that they're missing because of their own. It's usually classism. I hate when people are like, "Where's the design?" I'm like, "In this house for a normal person. Where the fuck you live?" I don't. Anyway. Wait, did I send out the tweet? I did, right? Did I? I did. Okay, let's get rid of that tab. Okay, let's just get into this this here that I'm talking now, and everything I do is supported by you, the fans that we are here. Sorry. Either through when I drink the energy drink, which also gives me energy and keeps me awake. So if you want me to keep up this amazing energy, then give me a super chat. It'll wake me up. Also, I have my Patreon where we also have all sorts of cool stuff. Like I posted a big update video about more exclusive stuff. That one is a video that is hard to explain, but they're basically getting new, more exclusive stuff. Postcards, which will be mailed out soon. More power in the movie review vote. And you help me be able to do what I do, pay some bills, feed some kids, maybe feed myself some of the time. But thanks, Ryan. Or thanks, Fred. All sorts of cool stuff. Helps me promote the show, helps me do flyers, also film festivals, all sorts of cool stuff like that. And it very much and I very much appreciate it. And it's very helpful and, helps me closer and closer to just doing this. And I'd make even more things. That'd be cool. But anyway, if you're financially able to do so, I very much appreciate it. It keeps this show going, keeps the channel going if you like this content. If you're not financially able to do so, just giving a like on this video or subscribing, you get to hear about the throwbacks and get community updates, as well as find out when my uploads there, as well as that helps support the show. But if you're just here and you're just watching, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. It's really cool of you. And yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, also the Discord server, which is, if you love everybody in the chat right here that are really cool and want to hang out with them and can't make it to the show necessarily, but you'd like to be part of this awesome community, well, guess what? You can 24 hours a day, because that's how the internet works. I don't know why I would say it that way, but I'm just saying you could. Or they do a daily question in general. They do a movie watch every week. If you guys know what that is, I don't know. This week, there's an Ask Jim section where you can ask me questions. There's suggestions. We give you suggestions on the channel. There's movie news talk. There's gaming talk, I think. That I never go there, obviously. There's licensed playing cards when I talk about things like my Jaws cards. Aren't these cool? All sorts of cool stuff. It's a great community. Very much do it. It's closed on. It's closed on Tuesdays. Ryan, don't advertise that. No, I'm joking. You have a Discord open. It was like 3 to 5 on Tuesdays. Don't do it. Don't come to. We're all taking a nap. 3 to 5 on Tuesdays. I don't know why. That's making me laugh. All right. Anyway, watching Twister. I would just watch Twister. Anyway. Sorry. If you enjoy everyone in the cool community here, please join below. Hello, Romam. I like join all. Hello, Chan. Talks more movies. Also follow me on TikTok, Twitter, which some dickheads call X, but I don't. Which I'm most active on. Tumblr, Instagram, both personal and the Reels one, and Tumblr. And on Tumblr, if you don't follow me on Tumblr, I'm actually every day reposting. I want it to be Wolverine and Deadpool, but I haven't done the Wolverine part. But when I used to run a comics called, we used to run a Tumblr called Comic Scans. Every time there's a big comic book movie, we'd have a week of like just that post. And I did one for Deadpool, so I went back, and there are ones I organized, so it's sort of like things I did, not the drawings or ads or stuff. So those are just going up once a day. So if you actually remember Comic Scans and you want to be reminded of that, you can follow my Tumblr and do that. And yeah, or you can follow Comic Scans. Nothing's going up there, but you can search it and it's got cool stuff. Anyway, let's get into this. What audacity? Oh God, go away. Okay, Sinram into house. All right, let's talk about potentially. I want to bring this up because it is sort of. I did some research on this, and I learned some stuff about this, and I didn't really know much about it. But now I do. It is a Skibidi Toilet, has signed a film and TV franchise deal with Michael Bay and Adam Goodman. Now, I didn't know much about the Skibidi the Toilet until I've heard rumblings of it. I saw it when Stephen Colbert did Skibidi Biden, which I don't really understand. That's so bad. It's so horrible. But the Skibidi Toilet thing, I'd heard of it. I didn't watch it until today, and I watched the first one, and I don't get it. And then I was like, well, what's the channel doing now? Like, is it just this guy talking in a toilet? That's the whole thing. And I know people watch it. But then I went to the latest one. And so, like, I was like, why would Michael Bay want this? But then I watched which is episode 80. So this is a whole, like cinematic universe. I'm not joking. This is like, I want you to understand, this is real. It's like the Skibidi Toilet people are with lasers, with laser guns, have started fighting in this like beginning of Terminator thing, and they're fighting the humans, and the Skibidi Toilets are zapping the humans or something while they're singing the Skibidi songs. So to be honest with you, when I watched that, I was like, okay, this I get from Michael Bay. Him talking about a toilet, I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. But with the laser blasts and all this stuff, and I know it's like extremely popular. I'm sure the post-apocalyptic Skibidi saga maybe has more views than anything I've ever put my name on ever. But it's weird. I don't understand this at all. I don't get, like, how did this go from Face and Toilet to Terminator Salvation? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, I didn't watch the build up from the beginning to the what it was, which was honestly crazy. I didn't watch the full thing because I didn't want it spoiled. Like, what if I want to go back and watch it in order? So, Anyway, in more serious thing, the idea that Michael Bay and a former president of Paramount Pictures wants to do this, I think, and apparently there's an interview. I don't want to listen to a 40-minute interview of their plans with the Skibidi Toilet universe. And they've amassed a sizable property, and they feel the monetization opportunity is ample. And apparently there is going to be a huge advertising like marketing push from the guy whose YouTube name is Defog Boom. No, Defog, the exclamation point, question mark, boom, exclamation point. And it's going to have a big, like, they're going to have a ton of like merch and stuff that's going to be pushed this fall. So I think they just saw what was happening. So there is an actual thing in Hollywood, for real, that they feel that they're not really appealing to 20-somethings, which I actually sort of agree with, because most of the things are more appealing to me. And I don't know if you knew this, I'm not 20. I know that's shocking to you, but hello, Rat Boy. Rat Boy Mickey. That's an interesting name. But what? Oh, well, I got a beard a while ago. This is like a year ago, something like. It's been a while. But there is a concern in Hollywood because they're not really appealing to people in their 20s. They're like, if you look at the blockbusters like Twisters, based on Twister from 1996, which appeals to millennials who are in their fucking 30s and 40s, or like Inside Out 2, which appeals to everyone, I would say, but they're not picking things that are marketed to 20-year-olds or teens even. They're sort of doing like kids, families, and then like everyone, which is cool, but and then 40-year-olds. It's like Ghostbusters, Mad Max. These are all things appealing to people who are older. So I think there has been a push by Hollywood to try to figure out these properties more. And I don't think they know what they're doing. I think we'll probably see what's going to happen there. But they are trying to like break out, because I think they've noticed in the past couple of years as Hollywood just kind of treading water, staying alive, that they need to appeal to multiple different demographics. So I think the Skibidi Toilet thing is the idea, basically. I don't know. I find it like crazy that we're going to be seeing a ton of merch of this in the fall, apparently. So I don't understand, like, it says in here, it's the mini epic depicts the infinitely escalating war between the toilets and the cyborgs. Each video is explosive, violent, and free of any discernible language. Wow. Okay. I kind of like that. Oh, it's part of Generation Alpha. I don't know what that is. But good for them. Good for the Skibidi Toilet people. Anyway, I'm glad I led with that. I think that's Skibidi Bibbidi Bob. Twisters for Fantano fans, basically. I actually like Fantano to a certain degree, but I agree that every millennial. I'm also going to say this. I rewatched Twister. I always looked, it was like, I know I tweeted about this, but it was not a cool movie. Like, I don't understand why everyone's like, no, that's my childhood. I'm like, my childhood was wanting to watch indie movies at that point. I don't understand. Anyway, cheers to you, not in box 64. But I agree. His age group seems to be that. Austin, I'm too old for this toilet thing, but I hope you're having a great day playing Mario Kart while listening. We played Mario Kart recently. I didn't play Dry Bowser. I played who's the guy with the mask and he changes colors? Whoever that is. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know you can reply to super chats. That's interesting. Okay, didn't know that. Look at you, Ramsey the artist. We just learned something because of Ramsey the artist. Anyway, cheers to you, Austin. I don't know. I just didn't. When I rewatched it, I was like, this isn't that good. Although I still like the Shining thing. I think that's cool. I don't know what movie they played in Twisters, because I know there's a movie theater scene. I just know that Spielberg said they couldn't do Jaws, which I was like, damn, dude. It's your movie. It's also Twister first Spielberg anything released on DVD. So that's kind of interesting if you think about it, because he was against DVD. He was also against VHS. He's basically against every form of home media that there is. He really doesn't like it. That's not a joke at all. He's like theater or nothing. All right. So the Disney hack happened last week. The reason you're kind of hearing about this, but not, is it like this hack happened, but there have not been ramifications, and we believe it is mostly because what we heard about, mostly because they're against AI, they're for artist rights, and I think they're hoping that Disney relents or something, but they particularly getting things from Slack messages, which is what they have, so there'll probably be a similar thing if they do release to what happened with the Sony hack and Amy Pascal and everything. First off, don't use Slack if you use Slack at your work. Don't say anything you shouldn't. I think Slack is a pretty horrible program. That's not a revelation to anyone. I don't like Slack. It's not a good messaging app at all. It's just that companies like it because it's standard, and because it's standard, everyone likes it. But is it functional or good at what it's doing? No, it's pretty horrible. But they hacked, and they do have that information. They're saying they're going to leak it. It could be pretty detrimental if they do. They might not, and that has happened before to a lot of companies where they just have the info and hold it over them, and then years go by and nothing happens. I don't think that'll happen. I think they might leak it. I'm curious if they're going to leak it, and Disney's about to have a huge box office weekend with Deadpool and Wolverine, whether they do it around Comic-Con and everything like that. I'd be curious, or if they're just going to hold out. I'm not sure what's going to happen. But if you're wondering why aren't we getting more from this, it's because there isn't more. It's just like a hack happened. Here's what we know happened. It could be pretty bad, but unlike the Sony hack where we kept getting stuff, and also every major reporter has said they will not post news about it because they feel it is stolen information. They do not publicize stolen information. I am not a big reporter, so I'll probably talk about it anyway, but I don't care. But whatever. I'm okay with them fighting for creative rights with Disney. I think that's a notable idea and all that, but especially like their emphasis on AI. Which, oh, by the way, this wasn't on my list, but I wanted to bring it up. I know I retweeted a few weeks ago. I'm not one to praise Goldman Sachs ever, but Goldman Sachs actually did some tests about AI and its profitability, and they're basically like, it's not profitable, it's not very functional, it's not a good idea. And they ran a test of their employees versus AI, and they found it actually costs less to have their employees figure something out than AI, and they got a better result. So I think yeah, cool of Goldman Sachs to publish that. But yeah, if you hear about how AI, they're just like isn't really ready at all, and so I expect the AI thing to fall apart. But I will say that it is interesting that they did that, and yeah. All right, the Halo series. Okay, the Halo series was surprisingly canceled at Paramount Plus. It had 2 seasons, and they are looking to shop it around. The thing with the Halo series is there was so much hype around trying to make a Halo movie and all that in Hollywood, which that was going on for a while, and then eventually Paramount Plus looked at it and got it, and it felt like this big thing. Um, Everyone assumed that this would be bigger, and I saw how much promotion Paramount Plus put into it, but it never really took off. And I think it's like Halo's not what it was, geez, like 20 years ago. It's just, it is a big property, but I also think like him taking off the mask, I'm not the biggest Halo person, but I heard everyone complain about that. So I think like what audience they could get, they lost. They are saying they could shop it around. I don't think it has enough of a cult following. I would say like, I barely hear talk of it, to be honest with you. Unlike the Star Trek stuff, I think the Star Trek stuff you might be able to do that with, but it feels like the Halo fandom is not as much. Maybe, I don't know if you guys disagree with that or something. But before I get back to that, Nathaniel Focus says, because the mega leak of those Disney TV pilots wasn't bad enough, now they got to deal with this. That is true. Good point. Good point. Cheers to you, Nathaniel Focus. But it is interesting. I think, the thing with Paramount's kind of in a weird place, especially with I guess I'm not really talking about the Skydance merger and everything. We'll see what happens with that. But I do think them canceling Halo was sort of surprising. But it's also like, if it's not really working and they're putting so much promotional money behind it, particularly like in New York and stuff, and I don't know anyone who watches it. And it felt like that was going to be a major streaming show. And it just didn't work out. And I think to me, it's like, Paramount Plus isn't a bad streaming service, but it does feel like their prestige shows are never the shows I hear talked about. Like I actually do hear Beavis and Butthead talked about, even though I know I'm a fan of it, or like that kids watch it because of Nickelodeon and stuff. And we'll get into another Paramount leak thing at the end, because I'm going to talk about the Ren and Stimpy reboot leak, or at least the first 2 episodes at the end. But it is interesting, Halo going away. It does feel like presently Paramount Plus is just pushing that they have lots of SpongeBob, which, to be honest, is one of their better things, is the Nickelodeon and their past stuff. So it makes sense. Okay. So let's talk about Joker, and then I'll get into the Russos and then Mr. Mighty Magiswords himself. But the Joker full trailer came out today. The only major revelation is on the closed captions. One of the people talking apparently is Harvey Dent, so not a spoiler necessarily, because Joker's on trial. There's nothing about this that has made me too surprised, but I'm not, I wasn't a fan of the first Joker necessarily. I don't think I gave it a really great review. I think it is compelling while you watch it, but then when you think about it later, you kind of go, oh, I don't know. So I'm not, and I don't think Todd Phillips or something, whatever, Hangover guy, I never thought he was, I don't know. I don't think he's as interesting a director as people give him credit for. So I'm just not like really amped for this. It looks like someone making a cult movie who's never seen a cult movie before. And I just never really gotten past that, but I am going to see it, but it's like fucking long. It's just like they were never, to me, the problem with the Joker is anyone I know who saw King of Comedy and was aware of Joaquin Phoenix, like with The Master and his other work and like Her and even the Lynn Ramsey film he did, which I have a review I've shot, I need to edit, I forget what it's called, but like you'd seen him do that shit better in other stuff. And then when I see it, and it's kind of like you're just getting like the real tip of, or like a summation of a better thing, and everyone else I know who saw it, who loved it, hadn't seen those things. So to me it's like, I don't know, it just never, I never believed it was going to start riots. I just like, I don't know, I don't like to talk about it because like even a year after, people get mad at me on Twitter, and you know, but I have noticed the people who got mad at me would always go like, when I bring up like, well, it's really, oh, hello, Caden. It's very influenced by King of Comedy. And it's also influenced by this like pretty racist like subway shooter and all those things. And they go, oh, I don't want to talk about the history and the film history. Let's ignore that point. And I did notice that happen to me a few times. I have these Twitters, they were like, no, my thing is the thing. I was like, okay, well, if we just ignore like my actual argument, I guess your argument does hold up. Anyway, I'm whatever. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that rant. All right. Caden's like, I'm out of here. This sucks. All right. So we have a few Marvel things now. I should have said that at the top of the show. Comic-Con is like pretty much starting tomorrow. If you're there, apparently you can walk around the hall and stuff. But we're going to start getting major movie news like tomorrow. So it's probably, actually, this is probably the best date to do this episode. This is all the news before Comic-Con. And then pretty much the next episode is going to be all Comic-Con, I'd say, for the most part. What? The boring, for the last 5 years? I'm curious. What? Wait, the boring ass Joker? Who is this person? I'm confused, Ryan. Anyway, so we learned that the Russo brothers are going to be coming back to direct Avengers 5 and 6, one of which will be Secret Wars, the other one could be Kang Dynasty. The Russo brothers have done pretty bad work since leaving hello Modelo Butterfly, the MCU. I honestly have always thought they worked well with the Previs team and all that stuff, so it sort of worked out for them. Also, supposedly no other major director wanted to do it because it's a lot of egos, it's a lot of major actors, it's a lot of agents, it's a lot of stuff like that. So there's only a certain amount of people who can do that, and since the Russo brothers did do that before with Endgame and Infinity War, it makes sense. I kind of would have liked Sam Raimi, but at the same time, I don't know. I do know, and a couple of people called me out when I was like, Secret Wars, the original story is not as good as Infinity Gauntlet. People are like, well, it's about Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, which is different. Which is, yeah, probably what it is. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm sort of just like, cool. I just don't, I don't know. I think it's sort of not exciting news. It's sort of like, I mean, I guess that's what you got to do for Avengers movies. But it is interesting how this franchise now is more the Russos than it is, Joss Whedon's at this point, which is interesting. Kevin Feige's made a lot of comments about he's going to use more of the Fox characters. He's made a lot of comments about Robert Downey Jr. Supposedly Robert Downey Jr. is a different variant of Doctor Doom is like being shot down, but we'll see. We might hear some release date shuffles, which a lot of people are saying on the Marvel panel. Some update about Blade, which he's talked about how they're trying to crack it and it will be R. Some talk of the Eternals sequel. He doesn't think that'll happen. I'm trying to think anything. Oh, we keep hearing about Spider-Man 4, and that the script is going back and forth, and they're not sure who's going to direct it. Justin Lin, who's a favorite of mine, he's the reason Fast and Furious became what it became, basically. I think he'd be a good choice. Star Trek Beyond is not the greatest Star Trek movie, but I think there's elements to it that I really like. I think he could do a good job, but supposedly it's really about what happens with the script, so I don't know. But Kevin Feige confirmed what we sort of knew, that John Watts is not coming back for 4, but as a few people have said, the script isn't done. No one's sure when they're shooting it. So who the fuck knows? So we'll see what's going on there. I can't think of anything else with Marvel, and we're probably going to get a ton of stuff with Marvel this weekend. So if you wanted more me talking about Marvel, and I'll talk about I guess I'll just, since we're doing it all, the Captain America 4 trailer looked cool. We got a quick internals thing. We got Harrison Ford as General Ross, where he makes a joke about the mustache being shaved because it used to be played by John Hurt. 1 second, sorry. A lot of, I don't know, it looked to me like a natural follow-up to Falcon and Winter Soldier. But there's no Winter Soldier in it, which I was like, that feels weird to me. I don't know if anyone else had that reaction. And we got some of Red Hulk. I'm curious about this. Obviously, it was a movie shot twice, and when Cardo Esposito was put in and all this stuff, I'm really wondering what this movie's going to be like and all that stuff. I hope they're able to pull it off, because I like Anthony Mackie and stuff, but I'm also like really concerned because the budget's so high. It's like you really have to nail it to make it be a big movie, and I don't know if the love for that is there necessarily. So we'll see. I mean, I think it should have probably been a pretty easy 80 mil slam dunk kind of thing, and that now it's probably like 400 million or 300 million or something like that, which is not a good sign. All right. Now since I think that's all the Marvel stuff, right? I wouldn't also be surprised if we got an X-Men 97 season 2 update. Lester, do you need to get out? No comment. Okay. So, let's talk about... So, I want to talk about... wow, they really come up with some really awful pictures of Kyle Carrozza, I think. Kyle Carrozza, who was the creator of Mighty Magistors, was booked last month on 2 counts of, I guess I'm just supposed to say CP, possession. At first, all we knew about this was that he had been arrested. We found out later, or I guess today, that it was 16 terabytes of Jesus. Sorry, not to, but it's a lot. It's a lot. First I'd say like this broke right when the Trump assassination thing happened. I do think this has been, although I do think this is a serious story and there's serious allegations, I don't want him working in the animation industry. One thing that I've heard talked about with the animation community is sometimes there's a major story and we're all talking about some other nonsense. And I was like, I felt like, that's why I was like, maybe now is not the best time. But I also like didn't get why anyone gave a shit about the creator of Mighty Magistors. Okay, I apologize. Hells of Pop said it was not confirmed. I thought that was confirmed. Apologies there. You do have to have, I think it's over 600 for the charges he was given, so at least we know that. But I didn't really know people gave a shit about this guy. Like, to me, he was a guy who made a show that Cartoon Network very much wanted to be a big thing. I think when I worked on a Saber video about it, whatever that one was, about, I think, the future of Cartoon Network or whatever. And I knew Cartoon Network was like, oh, it'll be an app thing and on TV. And I thought it was just a bad show, and it sort of didn't become a thing they wanted it to and went away. I didn't realize people are influenced by him and like consider him were influenced by him, and he had worked with people. Like, I didn't know any of that. I just thought he was like sort of this guy who made this failed show that Cartoon Network tried to do this app thing with. So I didn't really fully grasp how much people like him, but I guess not anymore. I do think this is absolutely over for him. I don't think he Um, I I don't know. I didn't know him, so I can't really talk on what happened with him. But I didn't know him. Apparently, I followed him on Twitter, but I unfollowed him after this. Um, but I don't know. I feel bad for anyone who was, and it stinks when you're considered someone like creatively influential to you, and then it turns out they stink as a fucking person. And it seems like a lot of people were hurt by him. I was really kind of unaware of him at all post the Mighty Magiswords being hyped by Cartoon Network. Um, but obviously his career is completely over. I guess we'll see what exactly is going to happen to him, but it doesn't sound like it was going to have much of a future at Cartoon Network. I know a lot of people. I mean, they are really like Cartoon Brew was the one who really broke this. It has a pretty horrible picture of him as their lead image now, which I think they changed to make it um, to to make it him look even worse, which isn't hard to do, I guess. But it's really unfortunate. I think it is probably one of the more shocking ones. I doubt they'll ever play Mighty Magiswords again, but I don't think they were going to play Mighty Magiswords uh, before this. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I always looked at him. I don't know. I feel weird talking on this because I feel like there's like a world about him that I never really knew. But I don't think he will. I mean, I think it's just over for him if he had that much CP with him. That's just an extreme amount. If it's the terabytes or not, but having more than like, let's say a normal amount would be none, and he had a lot more than none. So I would say that's very bad, but he will have to register as a SP, I guess, or whatever, if I said that right. That is just inevitable, and I don't think he should be working on children's television um, if that's the case. So I don't know what's going to happen to him, but I'm sorry for anyone he hurt and everything like that. But it is shocking to hear someone from Cartoon Network getting arrested for something like that is deeply disturbing. I do not. I was saying SP is like the like the Predator database, but anyway, um, I don't know. I think it's sort of over, but I think it's like he's over, and his show was sort of like I believe he will be facing jail time. It sounds like at least a couple of years because of the amount. Now, whether that amount is to me, apparently from what I read, it is definitely more than 600. So, I know there's always a comment like, yeah, but what if you like Instagram and then you find out later? No one's arresting you for that. That's not good either. Maybe just unlike it when you figure that out or something. But at the same point, like this was not like, oh, whoops. Oh, I didn't realize that one picture. It's like he was perpetually very much into this stuff. So he he very much was very into this to our limited understanding of what happened or not. But it sounds like he had over a ton of that stuff. So it sounds the police were justified in this decision. And I just, if he's doing that, he, again, should not be working on stuff that is shown to children. And I would say just keep his name in mind because he's going to try to come back in all sorts of creepy ways. But I think it is very much over for him. It's just gross. It's gross, and he's gross. And but I was surprised to find out people were into Mighty Magiswords. Didn't know that until whenever Trump was assassinated. So that it's just weird that it broke then. Anyway, and Cartoon Brew got to sort of had their little comeback with this story, which I was like, don't know if I like that either. Don't like anything about this at all. Moving on, Chris Stuckman has a horror movie. Good for him. That's a transition. So Chris Stuckman. Okay, I'm not a big fan of this dude. I don't really. I don't know. Here's the thing: it's like I'm nothing against Mr. Stuckman. personally, except I've never really liked anything he's created in his entire life. But other than that, no, I know he's a big movie reviewer. I don't have anything. I don't know. I like his like story time videos, but I don't particularly like him. But I know everyone's going like he's an inspiration. I'm like, I don't, I have enough inspiration. I don't really, good for him. I'm excited to review this movie, and I do think a lot of people are going to be. I don't know. I haven't heard the greatest reviews of it, which I'm not surprised by because I have seen some of the times he's made short films. I never was exactly in love with that, but we'll see. First, not Box 64. Let's not give Kyle that second chance like what the world gave R. Kelly back in the 2000s. That's true. Although I did see a TikTok of R. Kelly singing in prison. So I guess, anyway, I think it'll work out because it's not the 2000s anymore. But cheers to you, not Box 60. Cheers to you, not Box 64. Thing with Stuckman Shelby Oaks is for Neon. I mean, I don't think he's like evil and nefarious. I just don't think he's like that deep of a critic. He's never really he's not someone I watch necessarily. I don't like have any ill will towards him. It's just like he's someone where people are like it's like some of those guys like I'm older and like him and Nostalgia Critic and AVGN, like I enjoy them from time to time, but it's few and far between, and I was too old to really be influenced by them, and I did not grow up with them. So it's sort of like, to me, it's like they were just these guys who made this stuff that I never understood the popularity. But the thing with this, from a financial perspective, if I worked at Neon, I would get this movie. It's $1 million. He has a following. You can make $1 million back on a horror movie. Very easy. It makes so much sense financially. It's stupid crazy not to do it. Now, I just don't, it doesn't sound, the idea doesn't sound super good to me. And I know people are like, fresh off of Long Legs, we got the Stuckman movie. I think it'll get a lot of press and a lot of online talk, which is something studios really like right now. So I think it's like, this is a very attractive idea, especially for a movie that's, again, $1 million, which you can make back from a deal with Shudder or Netflix or VOD. It's very like, it's not easy for me to make $1 million, but it's easy for these studios to, and I can see them going like, we can make this back. So I think it's an attractive offer, because he financially did it smartly, but we'll see what happens with it. But I'm not hating. I'm just like, I don't want to be dishonest and suddenly be like, Stuckman's great. And I really don't like I'm going to review things, but not review things shit. Like that is just like you either shit or get off the pot, dude. Like everybody like reviews certain things and does some, like Scorsese, like says like, after I became a filmmaker, these are those films and the ones before, and you can do that, but you have to be clear about it. But like, I don't know, there's some things about him like that I actually do hate. Like you actually do. Anyway, okay, Buster. Anyway, let me let Buster out real quick. We don't know yet, Nathaniel Folk, if it's a step up from the top of the Fourth Wall movie, but we shall see. Anyway, when I get right back, I'll talk about Toxic Avenger. Hold on. This is barely a break. Okay. All right. Sorry. So, the Toxic Avenger remake. What's going on? This is not just a rumor. I want to specify that because World of Real. Oh man, I should not have spent so long on some of this stuff. Well, okay. There's a lot to talk about. I was being a little blasé. Oh, before I Theo Loser. Hello. I don't know if I've seen you before, so thank you for being here. Chris shouldn't be afraid to critique and criticize movies and such because he's in the industry. No one likes a yes man with no opinions. Fuck yes, I agree with that. Cheers to you, Theo Loser. That's a cool name. Anyway. I did not know Stuckman was on Channel Awesome. I was never on Channel Awesome, so I'm fucking real one for that, I guess. Anyway, so sorry, that was stupid. Toxic Avenger, the remake supposedly has been deemed unreleaseable, which in my mind makes it sound real fucking good. But apparently it did play Fantastic Fest, things like that. But we learned that supposedly, according to the producer with World of Real, they're having a really hard time finding a distributor despite the name of the Toxic Avenger. And they're just saying maybe it'll just wind up on Tubi one day because there's nowhere else to put it. I find this to frankly suck. I thought they had a distributor. I'm a little surprised by that. And I'm also surprised no one's putting it because to me it's like that's an easy like, put it on a shitty weekend and it can like dominate and we can all do like Toxic Avenger, or, relooks and stuff like that. Like I think that's probably what's gonna maybe work out a little bit, not too much. For The Crow, is it will have the whole weekend to itself. But I maybe the problem is like cult movies are sort of a weird thing for distributors now because the DVD or home video market's gone. So in some ways it's not as valuable, but I still think it's like sort of dumb that none of them will pick it up. Particularly it has like pretty good reviews. But yes, as of right now, no one knows what's going to happen with the Toxic Avenger remake. But I think they're like the producer's saying, I feel like it's just going to wind up on Tubi in a few years. So it's not that it was canceled by the distributor like Batgirl or Coyote vs. Acme. It was that no distributor has bought it. So it's just sort of like sitting there done. But I hope somebody buys it. I would think maybe even Shudder, but it sounds like they want a theatrical. But I don't know why all these like pussy-ass studios won't get their shit together. Like what's the point of having an A24 if we can't release stuff like I mean, maybe it's that bad or something, but I still want to see it. So I just think it's like I think we will see it eventually, but it's just like where and when is the real question. All right. So Apple TV and Netflix, and this is sort of a big Bloomberg story. It's an industry story, but we're going to go into it. Basically what happened with we found out today that, or this week, that Apple basically gets like 0.2 views or something of the streaming pie a month, which is about what Netflix gets in a day. And they're basically saying Netflix has won the streaming wars. It has such an advantage above everyone else. It's not even a competition, which I've kind of thought for a long time. But this main report came down as Apple right afterwards said that they're going to be cutting down on spending, particularly with the TV side. The emphasis on TV, I think, might have just been them saying Apple TV, but meaning all of it. But a lot of people are saying because the movie side, like Killers of the Flower Moon, like Napoleon, those releases meant Apple was actually making money off of these releases because they put it in theaters, they put it on VOD, and so they are actually offsetting the cost. The TV stuff, a lot of it didn't play on anywhere that wasn't Apple. Now, I do think another thing with Apple is that, one, you do have to pay for it, and two, it doesn't really work on anything that's not an Apple product, which, although Apple TV, not TV Plus, but just buying an Apple TV, or that's very popular, a lot of people have them and stuff, but like, if you have a Roku, or you have Amazon Fire Stick or something, Apple TV sometimes just crashes. It's happened to me a lot of time. Often will just connect my laptop instead of using Apple TV on the Roku, which makes it harder to watch, basically. So immediately, if you're like, oh, I want to watch something on Apple TV Plus, you're like, oh, right, I got to do that fucking thing. Whatever, who gives a shit? Let's watch something else. And I don't think they were smart enough to go, like, that's a really bad idea. Like, that's really stupid to do something like that. But I think everyone assumed before this that Apple didn't really care about the money. But I think because they know that, like, Fly Me to the Moon, which isn't doing well, everyone's like, oh, well, Apple doesn't really care. It seems like Apple does care because they're like, oh, we're just getting our asses handed to us. Supposedly they want to cut more back on TV. I will also say I have seen a lot of ads for them around the city, and I have heard no talk of any of those shows that aren't Ted Lasso and For All Mankind to hear talked about somewhat. But I'd say overall, this has been a fucking failure of epic proportions. Basically, it's been a huge failure. To me, it's like the problem with streaming is lack of advertising. But I almost want to say Apple. There's a lot of their shows I see on buses, I see on billboards. So I don't want to say with that is true, because they really have tried. But I do think it's because you can only pay for so many streaming services, and they don't really have a back catalog. And so if we're being for real about the Apple thing, like Apple versus Paramount Plus, let's say, Paramount Plus, I'm watching A on Flux. You know what I mean? Like, my kids are watching, my son loves Dora the Explorer right now, or we can watch old SpongeBob, or we can watch this, or we can watch that, or Monster High or something. They have several things going on at once. But the problem is that, yes, Apple Plus, like Ryan's bringing up, they have Fraggle Rock or they have Snoopy and stuff, but most kids, they're not even aware of it because half of them can't watch it. So it's just like they need to really think about how if they want to continue it, they need to make it more accessible. Because like you look at the success of Tubi and Pluto, and the real success of both of those is that they're easy to do. Same with like YouTube is the biggest streaming thing, because I can just go on YouTube and type in, Skibidi Toilet. See, I brought it all back. It's all working. Don't worry. And I can watch, the latest one where cyborgs and toilets fight. Or I can go on Apple Plus and it can crash on my fucking ass and cost me $5 a month. Skibidi Toilet's killing you motherfuckers. What would you rather watch? Toilets for cyborgs or an app that closes and costs you $5 a month? The answer is Skibidi Toilet always. So see, it all connects. It was worth me talking about it. I'm going to bring it back a few more times. This is called continuity, guys. I read a Marvel comic once. Don't worry about it. Anyway, it is shocking to hear Apple TV is actually... Because so often when we're talking about Apple, we're like, they don't give a shit. And apparently they do give a shit. And they're starting to be like, this sucks, dude. We are not making money. So I am curious if it's going to hit back on the movie side. Because everyone's like, oh, the TV side. Who even talks about anything that's not that's not Ted Lasso? But I do think there might be a clapback on the movie side as well, but they need to have a hit. Like you look at what was the thing Matthew Vaughn did, something with the cat movie, what was it called, Alanis, whatever that stupid thing was. Doesn't matter, I didn't see it, but point being is like they were making all these costly sort of mistakes, and they need to have hits. They need to have, like, Ted Lasso was a hit. It might not have got the big ratings, but everyone's heard of it. So I think they need to, Why did you just type Argyle Syndrome? It was obviously called Cat Spy Movie, which was a better title than Argyle. You know what? You can't convince me. You cannot convince me that Argyle is a better title than Cat Spy Movie. That's a better movie. Everyone would have seen that movie. If it was called Cat Spy Movie, I don't think it would have, made whatever the stupid cost was. But would it have made more than Argyle did? I think I could argue that I'm right on that. And I'm not even joking that much. All right. So we learned today, or recently, is that... Sorry, I'm just getting something else ready. Is that Bedrock, the sort of, I guess... newest version that failed of the Flintstones, in which Pebbles, voiced by Elizabeth Banks, is going into the workplace as Fred Flintstone retires and stuff. Here's the thing, like we actually watch Jetsons and the Flintstones thanks to MeTV Tunes, which I just love having on all the time presently. And I was watching the Flintstones, I was like, why does it take so long to remake this? It is literally just any sitcom. Just like take like a script of King of Queens, make it not take place in Queens. It takes place in Bedrock. There you go. Like that's like I don't understand why this is such a hard, like, everything in every episode is like Fred bets his TV or something, and him and Barney have a dumb fight over something, and it's like typical sitcom stuff, and everyone can't figure out how to do it. Like, I don't understand like how this is so hard. Like, as I've watched the Flintstones a lot more recently, I'm like, how, like, none of you can figure this out? Like, if you just like send me a script of King and Queens, I will just re-edit it. I'll change all the names. Obviously, you make, I barely watch King and Queens, but like Kevin James can be Fred, Leah Remedy would be, you know, Wilma. I don't know, maybe Patton Oswalt's Barney. Doesn't matter. Point is, you could do it pretty easy. I just don't. I don't get why this is so hard for people. It seems a pretty easy concept to me. But all right, we're gonna talk about the box office. And there's an actual. First off, we find out that Inside Out 2 is now the highest grossing animated movie of all time. But you're like, but Jim, what about The Lion King? I'm sorry. I don't know if you knew, one of the rules of animation is your movie can't be total bullshit. So The Lion King remake doesn't count because it is complete and utter bullshit. If your movie's bullshit, you don't count as animated. Sorry, I don't know what you are. You're photoreal. Why don't you photorealistic your ass out of this conversation? Because if you're it's not animated. I don't know what it is. Good luck to whatever the fuck you did with that. Good for you. But everyone knows that it's not animated because it's awful and it can go fuck itself. But Inside Out 2, yes, is the highest grossing animated film of all time, passing Frozen 2, showing Pixar's supremacy until next year when we're all like, man, Pixar's failing again. What's up with that? But yes, it's the highest grossing, and I believe the highest grossing movie of the year. In America, it's made $596 million. It is outgrows Barbie. That's not a joke. It doesn't feel like it's bigger than Barbie, which is why box office dollars do not mean cultural relevance necessarily. But I'll say this after I drink this water. Sorry, my voice. I heard this in a review, and I almost put it in my review. How kids are using the emotions in the Inside Out things to talk about their own emotions. And my daughter was doing this at her camp, actually. And I cut it out because I was like, well, I haven't really experienced that. And then, oh, hey, Purple Coop. And then, yeah, now she's doing it. And I was like, I should have just left it in because it eventually did happen to me. So what I think, it just has a big cultural hit. I'm curious how Disney will premiere this on streaming. I think that'll be interesting, but it's still number 3, and we're how many weeks out from release? 6, which is pretty insane. So Inside Out 2, definitely going to continue to be a huge hit, but the fact that it's bigger than Barbie is kind of insane because it doesn't feel like it, but I guess it is. The other thing, and this is interesting about Twisters. So Twisters has started, there's 2 conversations I have about Twisters and its box office. One is that all the tracking said 40 million, which turned out very much not to be true. It made 81 million. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it did so much better than tracking. But a lot of people are saying tracking is bullshit. And there's been a lot of questions on tracking because so many times this summer, people said the tracking is off. Oh, it overperformed, and people are starting to get suspicious of that. So we'll see. There might be some re-evaluating of tracking. That's one conversation. The other one is this film made $81 million, and has made $103 million domestically. I saw some people saying like Twisters and Kamala Harris's fundraising are like going neck and neck. No, I dropped my Jaws cards. Oh no. Sorry. But okay, worldwide, and this is open pretty much everywhere actually, with a few exceptions, it's made 146 million. Now, if you're doing your math right, 103 million of 146 million is just from America, meaning that as much as people are saying, oh, this made, this is connecting to middle America and it's connecting to different people and things like that, it's also not doing well anywhere that's not America. So this is a success in the domestic box office, but it is actually not a success anywhere that's not here. I'm sure they have tornadoes in places that aren't America. I didn't like research that at all. But it's interesting that this is so domestic heavy, which you don't usually see. So Twisters, yes, a success, not a full success the way like Despicable Me Inside Out 2 is necessarily. And it costs about 150 or so. So it's gonna do fine, but it's not going to be. It's not like if we were talking like I think Deadpool and Wolverine, we're talking about 340 worldwide, and about 200 is just from America, but it's not opening everywhere at once. So we'll see about that. In other places, we're seeing things like the Bike Riders rose up. Actually, I think because it got into art theaters that didn't have it before. It was a theory I heard. Sorry. Also, Horizon continues to do bad. Bad Boys is still in the top 10. Fly Me to the Moon is doing bad. Long Legs held much better than most horror films do. It's made about 44 million in 2 weekends. It's only at number 4. Falling 46% is not bad when you consider it added theaters actually, and had its per screen average was higher than Inside Out 2, which is playing in I'd say about over almost 1,000 more theaters than it. So Long Legs is doing insanely well for a horror movie. You don't really see that for horror. Horror usually like goes up and then like keeps going down pretty stagnantly, but this is very different. I might need to take a break just for water. Okay. And as much as we are talking about Lion King, and I saw a bunch of shitty tweets where people were like, "Oh well, Lion King didn't do as well the remake because the Lion King remake made so much more." You mean the Lion King remake with a huge ad campaign? There was no ad campaign for the 2024 re-release, and it's made almost $2 million without any promotion at all. The Seven Samurai remake or the 4K re-release is doing pretty well as well. It's only playing in 21 theaters, but it's selling out everywhere. So if you've actually never seen Seven Samurai, I'd recommend doing that. And I know I haven't seen Robot Dreams. And what is the last movie in the box office made $35 is Taking Venice, which has an insanely long description on Box Office Mojo, which I'm not going to read, but it's about the Cold War, and there's a grand prize, and there's an artist, and the politics of nationalism. Anyway, sometimes there's a reason you make $35 at the box office. All right. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to get water real quick. And then I'll be back talking about Emmys and stuff. But the one thing to take into account, next weekend, Deadpool, Wolverine, everything's going to get hit pretty bad because Deadpool and Wolverine's going to be number one no matter what. That's just obviously everything's going to fall. The question is what happened in 2017 when Homecoming came out is we saw that Homecoming got to ride up until September, which is I think what all these movies are planning on doing. We're going to see a lot of them have legs after this. And Deadpool and Wolverine will I think do that as well. But next weekend we will see everything's going to take a drop. That doesn't mean they all bombed. It just means Deadpool and Wolverine is going to suck all the air out of the room. It's going to take a lot of theaters away. But then once everything settles, we'll see what the rest of the box office is going to be. That thing. All right, I am going to get some water. I need some water for a second and stuff like that. And I'll be back and we'll finish the news and then we'll talk about Ren and Stimpy. I will be after these messages, I will be right back. I'm not going to put up the image. I'm just going to get water. I'll be right back. Okay, cool. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. You recorded a 4-hour podcast. Damn, Spencer. What's your podcast? I probably asked you this before, but DM me sometime. I need to be on more podcasts at some point. All right. Sorry, I have a cough drop. I think I was not prepared to talk for Walter. Oh, I like the John Cage joke. Thank you for that. All right. I was not prepared to talk for 2 hours. I guess I didn't think about that. All right. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the... Okay. Let's go over some stuff. Tenacious D, have they broken up? I think what happened was, I don't know if you heard, but Trump was like assassinated. Or attempted, or whatever happened there. And then in Australia, because it was Kyle Glass' birthday, then there was a Tenacious D show. They brought out a cake and they said, make a wish. And his wish was, don't miss Trump next time. And then afterwards, there was a bit of controversy because well, okay, some of this controversy is warranted. Some of their reaction was warranted because apparently Australia was potentially going to kick them out. Now, I don't know Australian politics, but to my understanding, one of the people there was going to kick them out. So they had to do something, but they basically canceled the whole tour. And Jack Black was like, we're done doing any creative things and stuff. I don't know if it was like the Biden campaign. I don't know if it was Australia. There were more things than just Biden, because it sounded like there are other countries that were going to be weird about visas, supposedly. So it sounded like they potentially could have just not done a tour, because other countries don't fuck around with that. So, like, Snoop Dogg has a hard time going to Australia. Like, I don't know if he got to tour in Australia, because they have stopped him several times just because of the murder trial, which he was acquitted of. But whatever. I think they'll get back together. If I was going to guess, they probably paid out Kyle Gass a certain amount. Be like, just go away. You can come back and they'll do a thing again. I honestly think that's probably what happened, but I don't have any. But whatever. I think Jack Black did think it was funny, but I think the idea that they could potentially, because people are like, oh, he's going to lose his Bowser money. I actually don't think it was the Bowser money. I think it was like working in films in general, because they will go after certain people. I know Australia will. And like, if a lot of films shoot in Australia, they film internationally, and he could just not have the visas to do that. So it might have actually been something like that, which is a little crazier than I think the media has noted. And a couple of industry people have noted, like, he could have just been barred from like shooting anywhere that is in America. So I think it was like, but was it a bullshit thing to pull on his friend like that? Yeah, probably. I don't think it was a cool thing to do. I thought it was sort of lame, but they could have just said, I'm sorry, we have to cancel the tour, and called it at that. But like, throwing his friend under the bus, I don't really, and his agent dropped him. And I think there was larger things at play that were not aware of and might not ever be aware of. Let's put it that way. We are sort of running out of time. So we're going to do a bit of a speed round. That might have just been the break, what I just did. So apologies to Ace the Windrider. You do have a cool image. I should have put it up. That's my bad on that one. So let's just talk about the animation Emmy nominations. The Bear got a ton of nominations. All those other shows, who cares? Whatever. Good for them. Best animated series. We had X-Men 97, The Simpsons, Scavenger's Reign, Bob's Burgers, and Blue Eye Samurai. I'm very happy for X-Men 97. I'm very happy for Scavenger's Reign. I've seen parts of Blue Eye Samurai at like a bar, so I don't think I've seen it. I'm much happier with this list because it's not just like the Fox Sunday night thing. I do like, here, I'll say the stock thing. Say the line, Bart. I do think The Simpsons should not be in this category. I know I don't even tweet it because I know Mr. Chuchellos is going to be like, but the Simpsons have been so good lately, and we should appreciate and all this stuff. It's like, that's cool. I actually think the ones that have been nominated, a lot I've seen were good, but I just don't think like what are we gaining from them being nominated? Carol versus the End of the World or whatever. I did like that show a lot. I think that show could have gotten that slot. I'm very behind on Bob. Like, I don't know what's going on in Bob's Burgers. I also think maybe not that one, but I'm less. The Simpsons is sort of like, look, you started this shit. You have more Emmys than anyone ever. What are we gaining at this point? But anyway, if it was me, Scavenger's Reign should win. I think it should be Scavenger's Reign. If you like animation, it should be Scavenger's Reign. I think X-Men 97 is well written. I don't know. I think it deserved to be in there. I don't know. Animated series, I don't think ever got those kind of nominations. So I think it's more of a legacy nomination, to be honest with you. And it was a great season, so I don't mind it. But if you're going to ask me, it should be Scavenger's Reign. We heard Andrew Stanton is officially directing Toy Story 5. That is a boring director's choice, but Andrew Stanton is a good director. But the last animated thing he directed was Finding Dory, which is a bad movie. I'm not really beefing. It's sort of just like every time he'd like correct me and stuff, and I'd be like, okay, whatever. We just have a difference of opinion. Sorry if this. I hope the cough drop isn't annoying. Where are we? I just don't. Anyway, Toy Story 5. Sure, he's a steady hand. I hope he does a better job. He's done a lot of Stranger Things. I hope we get more of his direction from that. And I think maybe he works better as being a studio director. But better be better than John Carter and Finding Dory, that's for sure. Homicide: Life on the Street, which I'm a big fan of. Maybe I'll review. I don't know. I could go crazy with those reviews I want to do. I have the DVDs, but apparently they are finally going to do a Peacock release of it in August. It's going to get a 4K thing and all that. Supposedly, they did consider rebooting Homicide. And when they asked Tom Fontana, they asked him, would you consider it? He said, yeah. And then they called back and go, well, we need a reason why. And he's like, why? You called me. What are you talking about? And then, sorry, Cornbread. I took the joke too far. I'm stupid. He said, why? What do you mean? There's murders every day. There's even more murders in Baltimore. There's always murders in Baltimore. And apparently Peacock, like, that's not good enough. Which I'm like, what? Anyway, there was a new David Simon show on Max, and I still haven't watched it. So I don't know if, like, a Homicide return without Andre Braugher, without Yaphet Kotto. I don't know. That's like, I don't know. I did see John Woo's remaking The Killer, which I'm a little interested in. But we learned that potentially the new Jurassic Park movie is going to be called Jurassic World Rebirth. I think that title sucks. I want my Jurassic City. I saw the trailer for the Bob Dylan movie, Complete Unknown. Sorry, we're speed rounding this. Let's do this fucking thing. To be honest, like, I don't think biopics are interesting. If it was like Herzog did it or something, but it's also like there was an interesting. Was it Todd Haynes did a Bob Dylan thing? That was interesting. I might review it and rewatch it. It's been a long time, but I just don't think this is interesting at all. It's like, okay, like, I get Bohemian Rhapsody made a lot of money, but at the same time, it's like, what are we saying with this? And they're like, well, it's Bob Dylan's story. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking know that story. But, like, what are we doing with it? Especially in a post-walk hard world. I just think it's, like, stupid. I really don't understand why we make these things. I'm going to hear them go, it sort of got it. And I'm like, I'm telling you right now, like, the biggest problem with this stuff is, like, I know the story before I saw the movie. And they never do the story that's in my head as well. And it's like, if you're going to do that, like, what's the point? Like, I could just close my eyes and do that movie right now for free, for no monies. And you're requiring me to do it for monies. Like, to me, do something. Anyway, still to this day, telling you the Rakim Eric B movie would be better than all this shit. If they do something like that and show how he changed the world and stuff. And James Mangold, I have some faith in, because he did do Walk the Line. And supposedly it's like he leaves his town, comes to New York, and then leaves New York again. Supposedly that's how he presented it to Bob Dylan. I sort of like that idea. And maybe I'll edit my review of Ford v Ferrari, which I shot a long time ago. The Terminator anime looks good. There's a movie called Pizza Party Massacre. Take that. I'm not. I just thought the trailer looked cool. I would like to review it when it comes out. The Boy and the Heron comes on Max on September 6th. Carl the Collector comes out on PBS, I believe. Austin, correct me. 11/14. This is obviously the biggest story. That's why I'm ending this thing with it. The Spawn movie will be called King Spawn. We'll see if that happens. Yeah, right. And there's a Beetlejuice 2 trailer. Looks fine. Supposedly it's gonna be big. Whatever. All right. So this is the Obits section. Okay, the cough drop is helping. I hope it's not too annoying. The cough drop. We have so many people who died. Wow, it's a lot. But I want to go over a few of them. First off, Bob Newhart. Like I said, I do not know his sitcoms that well. I've seen it like a few times. I know him more from his cameos and stuff like that. But what an amazing career. Sitcom legend. I think the only comedy album to win Best Album. A really interesting guy. And you really got to say, I think, the main thing is like so many people, when they have their legacy and it's over, Jerry Seinfeld is very much included in this, come out later and they stink so bad and are such assholes that like you don't even care about their other thing because you're like, God, I hate this guy. Like all he does is shit on my generation and stuff. And think of like most of what I know him from is The Simpsons and Elf and like all these things, and I love him. That is how you act in your post legend years, man. Like that, I'm really being really serious here. Is like, I know him from not what he's most known for, and I love him for that. And I think that says anything about him as a person, is that he was willing to do that. I also want to talk about this. Ryan? Why did you bring up Unfrosted? Don't bring the mood down during the Obit section. Shannon Doherty also died. I think most people know her from 90210. I know her from Mallrats and Heathers. Actually, and also Secret of Nim. And Don Bluth wrote a very nice obit about that. I know she had a lot of health problems. She recently got divorced. It sounds like she was going through a lot. But I will say, I think she was a great comedic actress who never got to do the comedy thing as much as I would have liked her to. I watched a lot of Mallrats and a lot of Heathers when I was a teenager, and she really brought it in that. R.I.P. to her. Shelley Duvall. One thing about Shelley Duvall that I find interesting is she came from the Altman school. I don't know how many of you guys have seen a lot of Robert Altman, but like in the late 90s, he was still a major, huge director, and his like kind of stock, and we're hearing less and less about him. But I really always loved her. Obviously The Shining, obviously the fairy tale theater stuff, but she had such a strong legacy. But she really was an up and coming, really interesting actor. Like Kubrick didn't discover her. Altman discovered her, and Kubrick used an interesting actress. She really did amazing work with Robert Altman. I highly suggest you like Three Women, Nashville. Nashville's great. You should honestly, if you see anything she's done, you've probably seen The Shining. You can see that. I'm just going to the rest of the people I don't know as well, but I will say Richard Simmons, James P. Skiing, and J. Michael Klein as well. All right. I kind of want to just gonna crunch this so we can do the Ren and Stimpy thing. And then we'll do questions, and then we'll all go to sleep. Everybody's going to sleep. Hold on. All right. Sorry, we got to wrap this shit up. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a good show. The last show I was kind of embarrassed about because my voice sounded weird, and now I'm feeling better about life, about this show, and everything. The world's going to be better. Kamala Harris is going to be president. I hope. Everything is going to work out, he says in July. All right. Let me take some water. I still have... We got some energy drink left if anyone would like to do it in the last half hour. Okay. Oh, Fandango. Okay. I'm sorry, Cornbread. Thank you for saying that. All right. Hold on. No, go over here. Okay. So, the Paramount Plus's Ren and Stimpy reboot has leaked, and I've seen the first 2 episodes, and I'm going to talk about them. Now, obviously, I cannot play clips of the Ren and Stimpy reboot. I would get in a lot of trouble, and they wouldn't like that. And I don't want to spoil it for people who are still watching this review for some reason, but don't want to be spoiled. You're weird, but whatever. I love you. I'm not going to do that. And obviously, I wouldn't play clips of the original Ren and Stimpy because that wouldn't be fair. So, instead, during this video, when it's a separate video, they don't need to know that you saw this before. Don't tell the people later. But instead of showing it, I'm going to play the most famous Ren and Stimpy ripoff, which was the Schmookums and Meat funny cartoon show. That's right. You are not going to see clips of Ren and Stimpy. You are going to see the most famous Ren and Stimpy ripoff, Schmookums and Meat funny cartoon show. Just to be clear. Okay, so this is not a joke. So, I told Ryan about this joke and he didn't respond. So that means it's hilarious. So first off, the one thing I noticed about this thing from the leak cuts is that I did say in the Discord I was only going to do 2. I believe I did. I'm sorry that you watch more. All right. So first thing I noticed is Ren and Stimpy is legendarily one of the first 3 Nicktoons. But when I watch this, it says MTV. It seems like this is not going to be a part of Nickelodeon. It's just an MTV thing, not a Nickelodeon thing. Now, Ren and Stimpy did play on MTV. It was not an MTV cartoon. I get what they're trying to do. So the first thing is they do kind of a weird version of the theme song that isn't the theme song. Or that is the theme song but isn't. It's really weird watching this. Because I think one thing that you can say about this is, look, Ren and Stimpy was the very first cartoon to really push a creator created by credit when it wasn't by someone who anyone had heard of before. Because obviously Mighty Mouse right before by Ralph Bakshi was really the first. But this is the one that really made the trend stick. Obviously that's John Kay, and nobody wants to be associated with that guy anymore. I think not having a real sense of who, because this doesn't feel like an auteur show, much like when John Kay was involved or Bob Camp was involved. This feels like a corporately mandated reboot, and that just does not work with Ren and Stimpy. Now you're probably saying, oh, well, if it didn't have the thing, but you couldn't sense it at all. And I think, I'm not saying I want a return to John Kay, and I think he sucks as a person, and what he did to that show and rebooted it twice. He had enough chances to get it right, and he failed both. So whatever. But I think not having even a Bob Camp or an idea or having a main auteur behind it, you can sense it. And Ren and Stimpy just doesn't work the way Rugrats would in that example. Now, Rugrats, frankly, stunk a lot worse when its main creatives stopped working on it. And that's a whole drama, whatever, we won't get into. But I think the problem with this is Ren and Stimpy was sort of chaotic and weird, and you couldn't believe what you were seeing. And in this, I just feel like I'm watching a cartoon that was influenced by um, Ren and Stimpy and influenced by chaos, but is not chaotic itself. Now, some of the first ones, like them, like doing like they need to rent out, they need to make money off their apartment. They're gonna get kicked out, so they rent they rent it to roaches and stuff like that. And they make tons of money being slumlords for roaches. They have a thing like the screen time episode where he gives Stimpy a phone, but none of it feels like different. It just feels like I'm seeing sort of a bad rehash. And like there's even a scene, I think it's in the roach one, where Stimpy farts, but it doesn't feel like there's any reason for it. It's just like Stimpy just farts out of nowhere. And like that was never like, if Stimpy's gonna do that, he's like watching TV and it's part of the scene, it's part of the character, it makes sense. And that just felt like somebody said Stimpy should fart, and then he does. And like I understand people are like, everyone knew everyone's gonna be very hard on this show, but like I didn't really get a sense that they knew how to do a gross out cartoon anymore, because gross out is not the thing at all. For like, people do not like gross out stuff anymore at all. Like that is not the sensibility we were on. As well as like they're not even very good at it, with one exception though. But they try to do like this clear toilet gag, which is just like strange. It's not even like good strange, it's just sort of like stupid strange or whatever. I don't get it. There was one thing that like I had lunch. I was eating lunch while I watched this, which is my fault. They did a thing called like milk with pulp in it, which generally made me gag. So good for you. I will not deny that you actually gross me out, which is something I haven't seen since the original Ren and Stimpy. That was generally disgusting. So good. I've seen every John Waters movie. I grew up with Ren and Stimpy. You generally gross me the fuck out. Congratulations. Billy West is actually very good at Ren and Stimpy. He's an amazing voice actor. All due respect to him. But to me, it's like if you had just made Ren and Stimpy by way of SpongeBob or something, sure, but this doesn't really work. It's like they didn't really think about how to update it necessarily. They do weird things. Like I noticed Ren and Stimpy never live, their house is never the same. Like in the first one, they live in the city. Then they live in this one house, and they live in a different house and another one. They keep switching that, I like that sort of chaos to it. And part of me is like, maybe this could have worked. But I do think Ren and Stimpy, regardless of what you think of John Kay or Bob Camp, who I don't know why you'd have any problems with him, but is they had a strong auteur voice on it. And I do think this is a property that needs that. And whomever it would be, I don't know necessarily. I think Craig McCracken would probably do a great job or something like that. But I don't think anyone would honestly do that because of the legend behind it. So while I was watching it, I was thinking like, well, why do this other than Ren and Stimpy is very recognizable. You need to just save the brand at this point, because they tried rebooting it with Spike TV in the 2000s and that failed pretty tremendously. So you want to bring it back. But I don't think anyone came up with a good enough take other than we need to bring it back. Which is the same thing with the Rugrats thing. It's like they didn't really think about what they were doing. They're like, it just needs to come back. And, I guess these are millennials now. But it just feels like they really hadn't thought it through necessarily. And really thought about, Ren and Stimpy historically in television history is pretty significant in terms of animation's history. I know like John Kay sucks, and I don't want to give him necessarily too much credit, but it really signified something. And to just go like, whatever, we're just rebooting it. It feels to me like, if you look at anything, like the Felix the Cat of the 50s on TV, or like these kind of soulless versions of like the shitty Popeye show in the 50s or something. The ones that like no one wants to replay because they're just like not worth anything. And that's what it feels like with this Ren and Stimpy. It's just like, I can see moments of real inspiration and they could have done something, but like those were things made for both an extreme love of animation and weirdness and like playing with the form and stuff. And this just feels like these are cartoon plots, here are characters, and Ren and Stimpy just doesn't really work with that. it really has to be its own thing. Like, there wouldn't be so much of our culture right now without this show. So I understand it's like central place with it, but it just doesn't work. And it fundamentally, like, I think I can see moments of inspiration, and I hope, I really do hope they're able to do something with it. But like, you look at how Mike Judge really thought about Beavis and Butthead coming back, and how smart that reboot is. And I'm not saying I don't want you to don't bring John K back. That, please do not bring John K back. Like, I don't want him to have a credit. That's not what I'm saying. But think of a way that Ren and Stimpy works in the 2000s, or 2020s. Because when I watch this show, I cannot tell you while I'm watching it why they should be there. And when I watch Beavis and Butthead, the new one, and I watch other reboots, or X-Men 97, I'm not thinking that. And as soon as I'm thinking, what are they doing here? Why would you reboot this at this point? You failed. Because it's like as soon as I'm questioning you and there's not an answer, I'm not like, whoa, they did such a cool, oh my God, I can't wait to watch the next one. Like, you didn't think of that. And there's times like Master of the Universe, I don't think about that as much, but they attempted something. They did not attempt anything in this other than they did new Ren and Stimpy. But why? And they could not tell me, and I could not see this as a viewer. So I would say, like, this was, I wouldn't honestly release this. I would, if you want to release it because you spent money on it, that's cool. But I think they need to think about what they're actually doing with it. And as of right now, it's like, okay, I mean, it's sort of like, why is this an MTV show? Like, why is anything a brand on any of these streaming services? They have all these brands. They don't know why they're doing them anymore. It just feels like this is how the corporate machine works, and this is what they made. But it just feels like they're just checking off boxes, and there's no soul behind it. And even if the soul behind Ren and Stimpy was like dark and evil, and and honestly pretty horrible, even this feels like devoid of any real sense of humanity. And I think Ren and Stimpy needs that, fortunately or unfortunately. And this just does not have anything worthwhile behind it. I would honestly, much like the recent Rugrats reboot, I would say it's kind of artistically a complete failure, but it did gross me out once, so I'll give it credit for almost making me throw up. Good for you. All right. Look, I don't like to shit on things that are new, but did you know, Nero's Q, you can come for me in the comments. All right, let's do the Patreon questions. Let's get out of here. All right, Sinram, who did we can't do Sinram last. That's Austin's slot. All right. Sorry. Okay. Sinram asks, do you, okay, sorry, I'll rate questions below. I hope everyone liked that review. I got kind of, questions below. Sorry about that. Okay. Sinram asks, do you ever get annoyed when a character has no okay. Do you ever get annoyed? Sorry, wow, Nero's Q joke in 2024. If Nero's Q, by the way, Nero's Q, if you comment on one of my videos, I will freak the fuck out. Like, I will tweet that. I'll even put it on the Instagram. People will be shocked. I'm calling you out. What happened to that guy? All right, Sinram, do you ever get annoyed when a character who has no verifiable acting experience is suddenly able to flawlessly pull off character when they're called upon to do so at the last minute, or simply tell an elaborate lie with zero hints that they're just winging it? Example, Jamie Foxx having to pretend he's Tom Cruise for Javier Bardem in Collateral. By the way, very good that you're feeling better. First off, thank you very much, Sinram. I don't necessarily hate that as much. I really like Collateral. It's been a while. Sorry, I was thinking risky things. That's a very specific example. I don't mind when people lie because I always assume that you don't know everything about that character before you see them. So I assume that we're missing something about them. But I can't think of another. I mean, Cameron in Ferris Bueller, you don't expect him to lie, and he does. I can't think of another. I would just think, oh, there must be something else about them. That's honestly what I think. It never bothers me that much. I also haven't seen Collateral in a while. Although I thought about Collateral because the same person shot Chicago, which I need to edit that. Nathaniel Fogo, do you remember a week with this amount of crazy news in a long time? It feels like since COVID, to be honest with you. But yes, it was a crazy amount. More so the political stuff. The movie news, I think they're just like holding back until Comic-Con, to be honest with you. Austin, hey Jim, what a great show. I hope you feel better. You feel 100% healthy by tomorrow. My question is, this is from yesterday. My question is, so I watched Jaws recently. I feel like there is a lot of better ways to kill the shark besides exploding it. How would you kill the shark from the first Jaws? First off, what better way to kill a shark than exploding it? I don't understand. I'm not going to punch that shark in the nose. That shark will eat my hand. Obviously, Cart killed Robert Shaw. Why would you never? Why you would kill that you explode it? There's nothing else to do. Anyway, all right. That's obviously the best way to kill a shark is exploding it. Maybe like convince it to walk. Maybe like convince it to jump on the highway. I don't know. Nathaniel Foga, thoughts on Wendy's? I like Wendy's. They're generally cheap. I have their app. I don't turn off their notifications because I just like to know they have deals. That's not a joke. I actually told someone today. The Wessonator, are you aware that yours and the Nostalgia Critics cats have the same name? First off, that bitch ripped me off. So that's bullshit. I don't like that. He should change his cat's names. That's what I think of that. Cornbread, if what you said earlier about The Lion King is true, that it can't be an animated movie, then it's BS. Then explain Illumination as a studio. Fair point. I guess they don't count as animation either. They can figure that out. Would you ever, not in Boxing Glory, this is a good one. Would you ever review one of Gus Van Sant's earlier movies? I haven't seen some of the earlier stuff. I've seen My Own Private Idaho. I'd have to go through the filmography to. I don't think I've seen the very first one. I know I've seen My Own Private. I think I've seen something else. I'm not against that. The problem is with doing that stuff is I don't have any time in my life presently. So I'm not against that at all, actually. I wouldn't mind doing that at some point. So I would like to. Favorite Godzilla movie. This is from Bratboy Miki. Said, favorite Godzilla movie. Also, I missed you, Jim. I got to watch more of your videos now. Well, thank you. That's really cool of you. My personal favorite, because it's been my favorite since I was a kid. Well, okay. All right. I think the best one is the original Gojira. I really like -1. I want to say those two. However, Godzilla vs. Mothra is one I've just loved since I was a kid. And I think it's honestly probably my favorite. I would say, yeah. Oh, Austin says, good night, Jim. I did win at Mario Kart. Congratulations. Cheers to you, Austin. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. Where were we? Maybe I've seen Celine and Joe Go Boring. I don't know if I have. I can't remember. I'm sorry. What disaster movie needs to be made? Made? I don't know. I think something like The Towering Inferno would be cool again. Ever had shawarma? Yes. But have I had it while watching the Avengers? I've always wanted to do that, and I haven't. What type of car would you wish to own? The one from the movie Alphabet City from the 80s is my top car I would love to own. Although I don't have a license, so. Cornbread, is it true what they say that your life can be separated into two parts? Your life before Carl the Collector and after? I have heard that. Sinram, have you seen the trailer for the new Childish Gambino movie or the Gladiator sequel? I've seen the Gladiator one, and it looked really cool. Did I talk about? I think I talked about that. I don't even know if I did or not. I'm more excited. I'm not the biggest Gladiator person, but Denzel and the water thing in the Coliseum, I would say that. Nathaniel Folk, ever had poutine? Yes, I did in Montreal. It was good. I like poutine. Oh, okay, we're going to get through all the questions, and it's not even 12:30. Look at us. Look at all of us. I probably could have spent more time on something. Doesn't matter. What do you think of my Twister Legacy sequel starring Tia Mowry and Tamara, and it's called Twister Twister? I like it. You know what? I'm more excited for that than Twisters, to be honest with you. Sonic Teaser Frep? Okay, will you do another deep focus? My favorite is How to Watch a Movie. To be real with you, I do want to do something on Mad Max. I haven't had the time. I've done some research on it. I've considered doing a deep focus, but I'm sort of more into doing film art video, but I haven't written a script. So I'm sort of like, I often think about bringing back deep focus because people do quite like that series. So I don't know. I'm considering it a lot, but I don't want to lead you on. But I do consider it. So possibly. But thank you for liking. I noticed How to Watch a Movie is much more liked. I've heard people like rip it apart on Reddit and stuff, which is not fun to read through. But I also think they didn't get it. So, Chan talks more movies. What's your favorite Adventure Time episode? I don't know. I don't really have a personal favorite. I like the one where it was like the fire thing and the ice stuff. Sorry, I don't remember it. Anyway. Cornbread, did you see the Minecraft movie leaks? Do you think Minecraft Jack Black will be a good friend to his best friend Kyle Grass Black? I didn't know anything about that, so I don't have an opinion. Caden Henshai, hey Jim, what are your thoughts on the movie On Golden Pond? I remember it was alright. Sorry. Have you watched the Daily Wire produced ultra conservative animated series Bircham? No. Arthur Kazenban. No, I haven't watched it at all. I don't. I know Saber does that, but I just don't have the time and or the patience to deal with that stuff. So, all right. I think we're going to end early. I think this is a solid show. Right? I think so. I want to thank everyone who gave a super chat. Bloxy Oxenwinkle, Will. Will, hold on. Will asked me to do one thing. There is a new Lynn Ramsey movie. This is what I forgot because Anyway, there is a new Lynn Ramsey movie starring Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence called Time I Love. I like Lynn Ramsey a lot. I'm hoping it works out. She did We Need to Talk About Kevin, among other things. And I think it has the potential to be really cool, called Time I Love. Let's hope this does really happen because she's a great filmmaker and it sounds like it will. Anyway, back to saying goodnight. Thank you, Black Saxon, Will, Nattenbox64, Austin, Theo Loser, and Nattenbox64, and was that everybody? Nathaniel Foga. I think that's everyone. Okay. I want to say, what's going on? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I don't think I'll do a review of Futurama. Maybe I'll do a quick one, but I don't know. I'm sort of sick of the reboots of that. But anyway, thank you all very much for being here. Hey, we had a 6. I think this was good. I'm happy. My voice only got weird once. But anyway, thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for watching. I presumably will be back next week. I don't know if there'll be a video tomorrow, but there should be. The Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman was almost cast and stuff, I believe, on Friday, but I think that'll be the next thing, but we'll see. I hope you liked everything tonight. I hope you guys have a good week. I hope you watch some cool movies, and I will see you all next time. And you all have a good night and a good week. And oh, hey, Botman, how's it going? Well, good to see you at the end. Anyway, thank you all very much. Good night, and I will see you all next time. All right, peace.